Everyone, this is Alexander Howell, and just welcome back to the channel. I had a really awesome video that popped off on Friday, and I don't know why I said popped off. That's not how I talk, but it was awesome. Looks like a lot of you have liked it. Tons of questions have come. I've gotten a ton of people that have just reached out via email and in the comment section, all kinds of stuff, just to talk about what our experience was there. By the way, I spilled some water on myself, so I apologize if you're seeing that, wondering what's going on. But the video was called "We Spent 3 Weeks in Mexico," and like, it was a really fun video to make. I think I'd been saying that I was going to make it for several different videos, but it was really cool to see. And I just got a bunch of questions and a ton of comments. With the other one, with the main one kind of being the one that I've heard several times in the past, and it's like, "Hey, Merida looks awesome," or "Merida looks awesome," but I've heard it's really hot, and the answer is yes. Yes, it is incredibly hot. But yeah, so I figured, if you guys pop in and want to ask any questions that you might have, I'm checking everything out on my system setup over here, and I can always look things up via the other tab that I have. But I'm just gonna run the intro scene, and then we'll come right back to this. So give me just a second. And so that's it. So again, welcome guys. If you guys want, please feel free to follow me on Instagram at Alexander from KC. I saw a lot of the viewers from that video ended up going over there, and just so you guys can kind of tell what I'm talking about here, let me bring this up. This is the video I'm talking about. It was my son jumping in our pool, which they did a lot while we were down there. But this was the video, and it was really, like I said, it was one that I'd wanted to make for quite some time, but I ended up just kind of getting into a situation where I finally had enough time to go through and kind of get everything ready and put it all together. But we took just a ton of pictures and videos and all kinds of different things that really kind of, I was hoping to give an idea about what exactly a trip to Merida was like. I'd already talked about going to the beach days and stuff like that, and or having a beach day and stuff like that. So I didn't really include that stuff, but it was just, here's a good place with, for the kids with air conditioning. Here's a great place to eat. Here's kind of the feel, the main areas and things of that nature. So again, that was honestly the whole point of making that video. So the fact that we got some people that really enjoyed it, that makes me so happy when it's like you put all that time and effort into something and then it ends up being positive. But the other thing that like I said, I wanted to kind of talk about a bit was, this is a live stream, so if you're replaying this in the future, go to the live chat. If somebody were to ask me a question, it's going to show up right there. And if you are watching this live, obviously feel free to hop on and ask me anything that you have questions about. But let me check real quick. My numbers are kind of looking weird, so I just want to make sure you guys are able to hear me just fine. This is just going to take me 1 second, I promise. This just allows me to kind of say, oh, live is working correctly. All right, cool. We're good to go. So anyway, it's the trip was ridiculously fun, and obviously I've got Merida in the background here. But to give you an update, when we bought the house, obviously everything kind of got torn apart with COVID and that kind of thing. So closing took forever, getting the actual plans took forever. But one of the positives that came out of that was, even though it took quite a long time, it really gave us the ability to just think and think and think about all the things that we wanted in the house. And so we added so much more and actually took away a lot too, because it was like, well, we don't necessarily need this, but we absolutely want X. We want X, we don't want Y. So that was pretty awesome. Maybe what's going on? Alex, big fan of your content. Thank you. Can you remind me if it's your aim to live full time in Merida? So yes and no. So here's I'll kind of give the roundabout explanation. So if we didn't have kids right now, we would be living in Merida full time. We would have rented a place, watched construction the entire time we were down there. Maybe not COVID timing, because we kind of got locked down from that, but that would be our goal. Fortunately and unfortunately, we're presented with a really positive scenario here in Kansas City that we'd kind of take away from the kids if we move down there, and that is we are very, very close to family, and all of our family that we see quite a bit, they all live within 30 minutes. So more than likely what is going to happen is a bit of a mix. So for the first few years, as the kids get older, whether they're doing stuff online or whatever, our goal is to kind of be back and forth between the two areas. So in the summertime, spend a month there. In the wintertime, go there for holidays and things like that. Basically, try to spend between 2 and 3 months in total in Merida, as opposed to spending being there full time or being there part time. But we have our financial plan put in a way. Let me start that over again because I think that was like the worst grammatical statement I could have made. But we have we actually just looked at our financial plan last week, but we have everything set up to basically with the house that I live in now, that's in Kansas City. We have this house, we have a lake home, and then we have the house in Merida, which is going to be act as an Airbnb kind of rental thing for a while. The moment that our kids go to college, I apologize, I got a call real quick, but the moment that our kids go to college, we'll make sure that they're good to go. Our lake home is about the same distance from a college that we're expecting them to probably attend that this house is. So what we'll probably do is sell this house. We'll have paid it down or paid it off at that point. Any debt that we have at that point will go to paying off the lake house. The house of Merida will already be paid. But that's kind of how we'll clear everything off of the books. And then once we do that, we will probably be in Merida minimum about 6 months of the year. My assumption is we'll probably be there more like 8 months of the year, and then when we come back, we'll stay at our lake house. It's on Lake of the Ozarks. So that's kind of the plan. If it were a perfect world, and everything could work out just fine, and everything was online, and we could have the family come down and all that kind of stuff, we would 100% be switching time quite a bit. But yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not really saying that very well. But yeah, we're just in a situation where, my parents live 10 minutes from us, if that. Her parents live 20 minutes from us. You know, cousins, aunts, uncles, things like that. Everybody is so close and tight knit. We see each other all the time that taking that away from them seems really tough right now. So, but maybe thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. I appreciate it. I hope you like the videos. They're like I said, I was really excited to release that one because I've been thinking about it and working on it for months, and then it finally was like, oh, it's ready. Cool, good to go. Let me answer this real quick. I've gotten a ton of messages. For those of you who don't know, you can directly text me at 816-727-7740. And if you do that, that will then just send me a direct text message. It comes right to my phone. And sometimes it's taken me a little bit to get back to people because of work and everything else. But I try to get back within, 24 to 48 hours to everybody that sends me a message. So again, thank you for all of you that are doing that. Let me answer this one real quick. Da-da-da-da-da. Live streams are difficult because as soon as something pops up, as soon as I go live, I'm not trying to like not pay attention to you guys. It's just one of those things like if I can get like 30 seconds to answer a message, then I feel like I'm just completely ignoring the situation, which is never good. For Arch or Connor. And now my attention is 100% voted to you. Boom. Gotcha. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan. Oh, got a few messages. Hey, thanks for that. We are considering a full move, but we're concerned about the school system, particularly as we reached out to several with no response. We're also considering Quintero as it's cooler and close to the mountains. Also, the school there made professional with us. Yeah, so I know that there's a school called the Madison School that's north of the main loop of Merida, and I also know that I kind of had a similar situation where I think if we would have just shown up, we probably would have been able to like have a talk with somebody, but they weren't really getting back with us very quickly. But it does look like an excellent school. It is in the northern area, kind of by the country club and that kind of thing. But that's the only one that I can really recommend. That is something that we had to think about a lot too. Was just if we go down, what's the situation with the kids? The heat again. And I've talked about this a lot. We're in a situation where we adapt pretty well to heat. Missouri is, it can get to 100 or more in the summertime, and then it gets to, 0 or less in the winter. So we're just kind of used to kind of getting into situations where we're a little uncomfortable for a week or two, and then all of a sudden it's fine. But the school system, I definitely understand. I know that there have been people that have communicated back and forth with me, other YouTube channels where they talked about it, and they figured out a solution. But I also see a lot of times that people are at home, like homeschooling the kids, and for us, that's really almost impossible just because my wife is an attorney, so she's kind of constantly back and forth, and then everything that I do, I'm out and about too. So one of those situations, right? PBJ Silver Studio, what's going on? How has Merida fared through the hurricanes in the last few? Um, so we weren't down there with this last little rush of them, PBJ, but from everything I've heard from all the communications that I've had, they got wet, but it didn't really seem like it was that bad. I saw maybe a few trees down and stuff like that. I can't really say how it was by the beach, some of the beach communities like Progresso and that kind of thing, but the people that I've spoken with have basically said that it seems to be just fine. So, which is a positive thing. I know that as we get into the wet season, one of the problems that you run into is some of the streets will end up flooding. We actually had to adjust kind of our the design of our facade, our house, to get a step up because it can be an issue in certain areas of the city. But that's the groundwater for the most part. So when the water table goes up, you start getting floodwaters and stuff. But for the most part, I haven't heard anything that it's been too negative. I mean, obviously the normal stuff, but like I said, from the people that I've spoken to that are down there and the people that have traveled back and forth during that period of time, it hasn't been bad. Let's see. Contacted Madison several times, no response. Although it does look like a good school. Yep, same thing maybe, 100%. I think I reached out to him twice. My wife reached out to him, I know, at least once, and we never heard anything back, which is frustrating because it looks like it's an excellent little school that they've got. BBJ, jeweler artist who would be moving my entire studio of tools and equipment to Merida, and I'm concerned about how I would deal with a hurricane and rising water. Yeah, that's so. I think what I would say is, or at least from, I would say in repeating what others have said, is that you definitely need to get with a realtor that understands like exactly where the water rises and if there's floods and stuff like that in those neighborhoods. Some don't have any problem whatsoever. Their drainage is fine, everything works out just fine. But there are definitely neighborhoods where you kind of get into sticky situations where that water might rise. Like I said, I think we added an 8-inch step to our front because the street and the sidewalk are on the exact same level, and then there was just like this little bitty step to get into the house. And our architect and I kind of looked at that and just said, I don't think that's the best decision that we could possibly make. So we ended up changing the design of the front to allow for that step, and then once you get to the back of the house, you just take one more step down. But yeah, the rising water is definitely one of those things. So my tools and equipment are large and very heavy, not easy to just be picked up and moved. Yeah, no, I totally understand that. I have a jeweler friend of mine, actually the guy who designed my wedding ring, that I cannot imagine him ever moving again. He got his place where he is now, and I think that's where he's going to stay forever. But yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all, PBJ. I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching the content too. It's awesome. It's definitely weird. I mean, it's one of those kind of weird things. It's like everything has a negative, right? It's like Kansas City. You just have to be prepared in every way, shape, and form to have a ridiculously cold winter and a really, really hot summer and everything in between. The humidity can be crazy. The dry can be crazy. In Merida, you've got to deal with the waters kind of going up and down at times. But for the most part, it's just, I guess you pick your poison no matter where you go, right? So unless you're going to like Tahiti, and then you're just far away from the U.S. and if that's your concern, then that's what it's gonna be. But yeah, I can totally understand that and not wanting to do it over and over and over again. But yeah, I'm trying to think about. I know our neighborhood doesn't get like the flooding that some do. I know that there are several neighborhoods that like Santiago and Santa Ana that do, but there's also one of the things that I saw. I think it was the Americas, one of the developments out there that might actually be where the Madison School is, was one of the developments that actually gets quite a bit of water kind of going through the neighborhood, or at least it did last year. Maybe they fixed the problem, but even the bridges on Paseo de Mateo when we went down, which it wasn't really raining at any time, just towards the end of the trip, I guess. But even that, it was maybe for 30 minutes to an hour. Um, but there was actually a bridge that they were completely shut. Like they completely shut it down, and they were adding increased drainage systems because the water from the previous wet season had pushed the water in the tunnel just completely up, and there was no way for it to get out. When I was speaking to our driver who was driving us up to the beach, he basically said, I don't know what they're going to do because that wasn't, rainwater. It was water from the ground. It was actually coming up. He said it was the cleanest water you could see because it was coming up from the ground. It wasn't coming from the sky. It's like, I don't know what they're going to do. I have no idea. I was like, well, if you don't know, then I sure as heck don't. So that is what it is. But Let me get on here real quick and check this out. But yeah, it's just like I said. I think it's a problem that everybody's going to have at some point or another. It's just how you deal with it. We've been really lucky to kind of be back and forth enough to see those different periods of time. Not necessarily the hurricanes, but being down there pre-COVID, being down there after COVID, uh, having a nice view of our place from up here, having a an architect that's actually really involved in the construction so that we can see everything that's gone on. It's nice to be able to see that. I'm also really happy that we went down in the winter time, in the springtime, and in the summer because now we have a pretty good idea about how hot it gets and how cold it can get. And the winter is definitely fantastic. Like the winters down there seem like they're great. 85 degrees, nice and cool. You know, 70 at night, tons of people out, and then obviously in the summer you wanted to stay in at the hottest part of the day between like about noon and 3 or 4 o'clock. It got ludicrously warm, but then after that it cooled off, and it was great to just go on to Paseo de Mateo at night and Plaza Grande and all that, and just kind of chill out. So yeah, what was I gonna bring up? I've got my screen over here where I've got some of the questions that we had. Somebody asked me about Sal Alvarado Stadium. There's also another stadium that they're talking about the baseball team getting that people are a little bit up in arms about. I told you on one of the last live streams about the airport being kind of a controversial issue right now. The stadium came up, and it was another controversial issue because people are worried that it's going to be too much money invested, even though they're saying private investment, we'll see, but too much money invested to actually kind of be positive for the area when they could definitely be putting money into infrastructure. But again, I think you run into that in every place that you stay. Whether it's in Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium and Kauffman Stadium are football and baseball stadiums. They've had public dollars put in to those stadiums, and people got up in arms about it because we could have done something else with it. But if the Lions down there get a nicer stadium, then I guess we'll just kind of see what it is. It's interesting to kind of watch and be a little bit more mindful about everything that's going on down there. And I think it's prudent for somebody that's living down there and looking to invest down there. But it gets a little hairy in those situations where you don't want to feel like you need to get too involved to get your opinion too far out there because you don't live there full time. But at the same time, you want to see the city that you're moving to at some point treated well and doing well. So, but yeah, we the question that did come up a lot because somebody sees that we bought a house is the same question that I talked about just a second ago, and that's what our plan is. And in one of my early videos, I kind of went through exactly how our financial plan was going into Merida and what we were thinking about it long term. One of the things that again gets kind of hairy when you start talking about it is the Airbnb. A lot of people are asking me if we are going to handle it ourselves, if we're going to have a property manager down there that's going to watch the Airbnb. And the truth of the matter is, we are absolutely going to have a property manager down there, and that is going to be whether we live down there full time, part time, or otherwise. And the reason for that is we actually have had an Airbnb, and I have a video called Our Airbnb Experience, and we had some amazing tenants at the house of ours during COVID. We're doing fine, but we were trying to get a little bit more money just to kind of make up for some of the stuff that we weren't able to do in the city. And so we Airbnb'd our lake house, and I will never do that again. And the reason I tell people this all the time, the reason that I won't do it again is not that I don't like Airbnb, because we're obviously going to do that when we have this house in Mexico and we're not there to kind of help it pay for itself. But we just had a ludicrously difficult experience, and I had to drive down back and forth every time somebody came in or got out, that kind of thing. And I just got really sick of like seeing how people weren't taking care of the property, if that makes sense. If I would have had somebody that was just cleaning it up and making it look nice again, I don't think I would have noticed at all. I don't think I would have minded at all. But when I had to actually see it and clean things up and just see how people were, you know, disrespecting things, I was getting frustrated and was like, well, I just have to be smarter about this next time. If somebody ends up renting our place, then I'm just going to have somebody clean it up because I can't handle it. You got to know your limits. You got to know what's going on. So yeah, that was just kind of what it was. Hey, PBJ, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Have a good day. Love it. I'd love to have you down. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you hopping in here too. That's awesome. it's good to see people. And again, all the viewers that are watching, feel free to ask questions. I had about 45 minutes to an hour before my son came home. I got everything kind of done for the day, and I just decided to pop the live stream, keep it going. And so if you guys have any questions about whether it's about the last video, about Merida, about Mexico, about travel in general, feel free to ask in the live chat. If this is a recorded video that you're watching and it's live stream, feel free to comment down below. I'll just get that out there, and like and subscribe to the channel. Oh, and if you're watching the video, please feel free to like it. I would really appreciate that. It helps it just go a little bit higher, and we've seen some pretty awesome growth. We're over 1,300 subscribers as of yesterday, so not too bad for 13 months since the first Merida video that we put up. I'm very happy with how the community's going, and it's also cool to see like the Travel to Merida Facebook page or Facebook group. It's been really fun. It's Travel to number 2 Merida, but it's become like it's not as active because we're just under 100 members, but it's the type of group that I like, where if I have a question, I go there and I get it answered. There's no like, mean comments, or, I'm sure as it grows, you'll get somebody like that, but we keep it pretty well monitored so that it's just like, I have a question and it gets answered immediately. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But I did, hold on, I'll tell you a story in a second. I do have to say, I had one of oh, Elaine, what's going on? Just saw your message pop up. All right. Any buyer's remorse outside Merida? Do you fly direct to Merida? So no buyer's remorse whatsoever. And if you've watched the videos, you probably heard me say several times that my wife and I, even from when we first met each other, we knew for a fact that we were going to buy in Mexico. So it's been since the very beginning of our relationship that this has kind of been a goal of ours. We originally thought Isla Mujeres, but there were several issues, not the least of which was property value just skyrocketed there, which good for them, but it kind of kicked us out for what we could get, what we wanted. But so we kind of knew, even going down there this last time, or the first time, this was going to be a possibility. And so no, and the area that we stay in, the only thing I can say is that it's further away from some things than I would have liked it to be. But with the work that's going on at Parque La Plancha, and that looking like it's going to be a pretty big development, and then just how close we are to Plaza Grande, it's fantastic. I mean, for the space that we got, that we were able to purchase, and what we're able to do with it within the budget that we put in, no regrets whatsoever. Is it a little bit further? Yes, but it was kind of that blend of location, and we also were on a really nice block. I feel like a lot of the houses that are around us really have been renovated or kept up well. There's not a bunch of abandoned places or anything like that, so that's been fantastic. So no buyer's remorse there whatsoever. And then you said, do you fly direct to Merida? No, we normally take United. I know American is the other pretty popular one, through Miami, but we have been taking United back and forth. They have a really solid situation going on with United through Houston, and we ended up purchasing, and I have a video where I talk about this, but we ended up using a United card, and that card has just been, it sounds like I'm a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson for this at all, but the card has been fantastic because it allows us to skip the lines. We kind of go in the premier line. We're able to go through that, so that doesn't take forever to ticket and get bags done and everything. We go through Houston. They're a hub, so they have a bunch of United clubs there, and we just kind of hang out, grab some food, grab some drinks. The total in-flight time is less than 4 hours between Kansas City to Houston, Houston to Merida. But normally there's about a 2-hour layover. So it ends up being a really nice kind of relaxing flight down, if that makes any sense. So, but yeah, no, so no buyer's remorse, and yeah, we can't fly direct there, but we fly through Houston, and it's a great little deal. So yeah, I had a few flights with United and with Continental that I was not a big fan of their operations, to say the least. But we hadn't flown them for 3 or 4 years, and I don't know if it's just this flight that they do a good job, but outside of one significant delay that really didn't impact us at all, it was just we were going to get down to Merida at the exact same period of time, or exact same time. But outside of one delay, we have been treated well. Upgrades have happened, things like that. So yeah, it's been nice. Elaine, thanks for the United card tip. I've been using Schwab. Love the Houston layovers. Absolutely. Yeah, the United card's awesome. And I'll tell you, we actually got the I can't remember here. I've got it right here. I'll just tell you what it is. I'm not gonna show it to you. I think I have it in the picture, but it's the Black United Club Mileage Plus card, and I think it's fairly cheap the first year, but then it gets more expensive. But again, we used it for. I mean, I've said it several times. My wife, we like the benefits and stuff like that, the upgrades and everything. But just having that and getting through this last line when we were coming back from Merida was like that. That paid for itself in my mind. There was a line of like 70 or 80 people. It was way deep. We were there in plenty of time, but it was just one of those like, oh, good lord, this is gonna stink. And then they had the mileage plus, Premier Pass, whatever it's called, and we just went up there, and we didn't even have a single person in front of us, so it worked out really well. I was really happy about that. But yeah. By the way, we're neighbors, and we love, love, love going to Mercado Galvez. Awesome. Yep, I love it. It's I I'm really excited that we are in the location that we are. Um, when you walk to Plaza Grande, and I always say Plaza Grande just because it's a direct route. You go 1 block south from our house, and then you just go a few blocks to the east, and you're there. But so that's what I always use to frame a reference. But it felt like when we bought it that we were buying like right as renovations were happening. Like the next block over, not much expansion, but our block, tons of houses that are really well kept together. So yeah, I was ridiculously excited. Now seeing what they're doing to the house, of course, makes it even more fun. So I was very very ecstatic about that. But yeah, and also for all the new viewers that are coming on, thank you so much. And if you do want to ask any questions, always please feel free. And if you hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. Likes on the live streams are definitely helpful. It gets about to more people. This one isn't going to be a very long one today. It was just one of those situations where I kind of got things done. I was waiting on my son, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to I'm going to get on live stream, and if somebody has any questions, they can obviously feel free to ask, and I'm here to do that. I get really excited when I see people that use the text line and comment and stuff like that that I can reply to. I was gonna say I was somebody asked a question and I completely forgot about this. So for those of you who don't know, when you're on the YouTube channel, you can actually, if you go to my main channel and hit join, there's a like travelers and voyagers and stuff like that, and it's just an extra thing with the channel. But then I could have comment on it. I was making fun of myself because I started a Patreon too, and I was just like, yeah, this would be cool, awesome, and I put the Patreon on there, and I woke up the next morning after I put the link live, and I got called pathetic. So I don't, I've had some pretty rough comments in YouTube, especially for one of my videos, for I think it was like 5 reasons never to visit Merida, Mexico, which was taken in a terrible way by some people. It was not meant to be negative. It was more just like it's hot, there are bugs, obvious things. But got some pretty hateful comments. But being called pathetic, like I don't like I don't like comments like that. So I don't make it a habit to delete things on social media because, in my opinion, it kind of shows what they are, not what you are. But I didn't like that. That was tough. That's tough to wake up to. You're having a good day, or you're hoping to have a good day, and boom, done. Rough. How's your permanent residency coming? I just got mine. We have not worked on that yet. Because we are not, I can't remember exactly what it is. I'm going to go back and refresh myself. My wife is the person that I normally depend on for some of the issues like that. But we have not had permanent residency. When I talked to the people in Kansas City at the place here, they basically said for our use, we didn't really need it since we'd only been down like a month at the longest. And I mean, they told us that, so I wasn't too concerned about it. But yeah, if we, once we end up going down there, and especially like I said, my kids are little still, but once they, get a little older, once they go to college, once we're kind of able to be down there longer, then that's going to be when it all kind of hits. So, yeah. How do you deal with bugs? We keep doors closed and praise the sky. The Chinese person who invented this half a racket. Hey, Roy, what's going on, man? Howdy. How you doing? Good to see you. I did see your text messages. I just literally at the live stream, but I will respond. I promise. But thank you for sending those. I appreciate it. 816-727-7740. Elaine, so two things. One, it depends on the type of bug because they have termites that are down there. So we just paid a bunch of money to have the entire house termite treated. So that's one, and they can get into wood and stuff like that. So I was really worried about that because we do have a lot of wood in the house, and I don't want to pay a bunch of money to then have it get ruined. So we totally we put way too much money, I think, into making sure that all of that treatment is below ground, and then we'll just have something come up. As far as the big bugs are concerned, when I spoke to our architect, who is our builder and eventually our property manager, his other wing will be doing that. Um, he basically said that they spray, I don't know who they hire or what they do, but they spray for bugs just constantly. So it's not, like around here where you get a nice winter and it kills everything, and then boom, you come back and it's fine. They spray kind of not around the clock, but it's once a month. Um, Pretty heavy spray so that they can drop the bugs, and then it's not an issue. I know I've heard a lot of people use nets and things like that. They'll have, their sliding doors, then they'll have, just a mesh screen or something. That's what I've heard. And on top of that, I'll tell you this. On the beach, we had way more bugs than we did when we stayed in downtown Merida. Now, I don't know if that's just because the property that we stayed in was really well maintained. We stayed there for 3 weeks this last time. We didn't really see any bugs outside of like a random one here and there. We didn't see a bug in any of the bedrooms until the last week we stayed there. And then it was just little bitty things. When we were on the beach, quite a few. That was a little crazy. But yeah, in the city, and this might just be my personal experience, but in the city, it didn't seem like we saw near the numbers we did on the beach, which makes sense. It's, it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere as opposed to being right in the middle of a city. And we might have also just had an owner at the house here or at the house that we stayed in last time that paid a little bit more attention to it. But we saw some pretty big, pretty strong bugs out on the beach. That was a little intimidating. But yeah, that was fun, if you want to call it that. Guys, I got about 5 minutes before I got to go up and check and make sure that my kid is getting off the bus and everything. But if you have any questions, please feel free to answer or to ask them in the next few minutes. If you're getting this after the live stream, always feel free to drop a comment down below. I try to answer every single comment. Let's see, what else do we have? Again, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That'll let you know anytime the video goes live or a live stream happens like today. I apologize. This was a short one. I just wanted to get it in. I'm hoping that I can get another one in either Wednesday or Thursday. I'm staying in town this week, so I'm hoping that Saturday will definitely be a time that I can live stream as long as I get my calendar worked out. Elaine, leaf cutter ants, easily controlled. A benign insecticide. Otherwise, we call it mint concentrate spray for wasps, etc. I've heard that too. I don't know where I heard that, but that's funny that you say that. I just heard the thing about mint concentrate, and I hate wasps. I don't like them. They sting me all the time. Everybody thinks I have this crazy fear of stinging bugs, but it's like you've never met somebody that gets stung more than me. So I'm gonna have to remember that for the 5th time because I keep forgetting about it. But I'm glad you said that. But yeah, I mean, I just think, like you said, the zapper, bug treatment, stuff like that. I mean, just getting that stuff out helps so much. You're not dealing with everything like that. I just say, any news about Yucatan new stadium? No, I was talking about that a minute ago. All the news that you probably have is the exact same that I've heard. The Yucatan magazine articles and stuff like that. I haven't seen any updates to it. I don't know if we're going to see any updates to it. I'm interested because I know that's going to be a hot button issue, but between that and the new airport, there's a lot to talk about. The new airport was my last live stream. And people have opinions for sure. But yeah, the stadium is going to be interesting. It looks pretty. I thought it looked pretty. It's, if they build it, it's going to be in the north part of town, which makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do. And like I said earlier, my thing about stadiums is it becomes this weird thing. People get mad about it and they find excuses for, getting mad about, well, why don't we have this if you're building a new stadium? I understand, but it's always weird. It's just always, I mean, like I said, Arrowhead Stadium and Kauffman Stadium here in Kansas City, people complain every single time they do updates, but it's also, you can complain about it, but then in the next breath, all of a sudden ownership is like, well, if we don't get what we want, then we might move to a different city. And then everybody gets freaked out. And like, please don't leave. Don't go to a different city. I don't think the The owners can do that, but it's always an interesting conversation when stadiums come up and there's any type of public money pushing that stuff. Also, Torres, nearly 700 feet tall. Yeah, I've got to look that one up. I've started to see that pop up, but I don't really know much about that, Roy. Yeah, I wish I did. I'd love to be able to comment on stuff, but some of the there's so much between here and and Merida. I try to keep up as much as I can, but it's one of those like only so many hours in the day, right? But yeah, let's see what else do we have. Let's see. Yes, Yucatan is all private money. I've heard that. I've heard it's all private money. Um, I just wonder what that's going to be like. And again, it's not that I doubt that that's the truth. Anytime I hear that something is 100% that's that big is 100% funded by private money, I just want to I want to see it laid out. And I don't deserve to because it's all private money. It's their business, but it is an interesting kind of thing. Like I was very impressed with I'm not a huge Cowboys fan, but I was very impressed with Jerry Jones when he basically built a stadium and it was just him. It's like that man's going to have a crazy net worth right now. That's amazing. But yeah, so I'm working on another video this week. Hopefully have it out. Again, if you want to see anytime one of these videos goes live or one of the live streams comes up, that little notification bell will let you know on your phone whenever that happens. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you don't mind. We've got all kinds of stuff. Guys, you've been awesome. Roy's one of the people that's reached out to me on a couple occasions, 816-727-7740. I try to get back as soon as possible, but as he knows, there are gaps in the day where I'm working on other stuff, so I can't really respond. Also, my website is alexanderhowell.com, so that contact us page just literally sends me a direct email, and there's always the comment section too. So, do I really believe that the Plancha Park is coming soon? No. No. I think that it's going to take a while. I do know that they're working on a ton of it because our architect is one of the people that is involved in planning. So he's on the boards and he's kind of not telling us what he knows because obviously he can't say everything, but it definitely is occurring. I just have no idea what the timeline looks like. And I mean, if he says it's good, he's followed through with everything else that he's done. So I'm gonna take him at his word. But as far as timing is concerned, probably not. But I think that about everything. My subdivision that we live in now, they've been saying that we're gonna have a pool in the subdivision for like 4 years, and they still haven't done it. So when it comes to construction, I've been very impressed with his crew, but that's about it. And then Roy, $105 million US. Wow, that's a good amount for a stadium. That's actually not as bad as I would have thought. I would have thought it had to be higher than that, but that's pretty impressive. All right, guys, I got to go watch the front door. Thank you so much for being a part of this. I know this was a short live stream, but as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, contact me if you want. Put some down in the comment section. Put another reply. I really appreciate it. But as always, peace. And now I do the end stream where I have to go to the button that says stop streaming, and it gets kind of awkward. But yep, gracias, hasta luego, Roy. Talk to you soon. And again, I'm going to hopefully have a couple of these coming up, so tune in.